world woke up to a silence no one was prepared for, a silence left behind by a familiar voice, a familiar smile, and a face that defined an entire generation of television. News of James Van Der Beek's passing at just 48 years old sent shockwaves through Hollywood and beyond, leaving fans, friends, and former co-stars struggling to process the loss. But among the many tributes pouring in, one message stood out for its intimacy, its vulnerability, and its unmistakable love. Katie Holmes, his longtime co-star and friend, shared a deeply emotional handwritten tribute, a farewell that felt less like a public statement and more like a conversation between two souls who grew up together under the bright lights of fame. For millions of viewers, James Van Der Beek wasn't just an actor. He was Dawson Leary, the dreamer at the center of Dawson's Creek, a show that captured the confusion, heartbreak, and hope of youth in a way television rarely had before. And for Katie Holmes, who played Joey Potter for 5 unforgettable seasons, their bond went far beyond scripted dialogue. Her tribute began with words weighed down with grief. She admitted that forming sentences felt nearly impossible, that the reality of his absence was something her heart simply wasn't ready to accept. It wasn't the voice of a celebrity addressing headlines. It was the voice of a friend mourning someone who helped shape her life. She wrote directly to him, recalling what she described as their adventures of a unique youth. Those years spent navigating early fame while still discovering who they were as people created a connection that only a few could truly understand. On the set of Dawson's Creek, they weren't just actors playing teenagers, they were teenagers themselves, learning about friendship, ambition, rejection, and identity in real time. Sharing that experience, she explained, felt sacred. They were breathing the same air in a world of imagination, trusting each other with emotions that often felt too raw for the outside world. Looking back at archival footage from 1997, just before Dawson's Creek premiered, you can see the innocence that defined that era. Katie Holmes was barely 19, while James Van Der Beek had just turned 20. They laughed easily during interviews, teased each other between takes, and spoke about their characters with the excitement of young actors stepping into their first major opportunity. At the time, none of them could have predicted how deeply the show would resonate or how permanently it would link their lives together. During those early days, the cast formed an unusually close bond. They lived near each other, spent time together off-set, and navigated sudden fame as a tight-knit group. Katie Holmes once joked in an interview that the cast practically lived within the same 2 blocks, constantly gathering at local restaurants and apartments. Those moments, late-night conversations, shared insecurities, and laughter away from cameras became the foundation of lifelong friendships. Her tribute made it clear that those memories remained vivid, untouched by time. In her letter, she described James Van Der Beek as a hero, not because of fame or success, but because of qualities audiences rarely saw fully. She spoke of his compassion, his bravery, and his selflessness, emphasizing how he carried kindness into every space he entered. To her, he wasn't just the boy audiences adored on screen. He was someone who protected the emotional safety of those around him, someone who encouraged creativity and vulnerability without judgment. The pain behind her words deepened as she acknowledged the reality she now faced, mourning someone whose presence had been a constant for decades. She wrote about holding both grief and gratitude at the same time, grief for the loss and gratitude for the imprint he left on her life. That duality echoed the feelings shared by countless fans who felt as though a piece of their own adolescence had disappeared. Behind the scenes, James Van Der Beek had been quietly fighting a battle few truly understood. After more than 2 years confronting colorectal cancer, he passed away surrounded by the love of his family. He left behind his wife, Kimberly, and their 6 children, the youngest only 4 years old. The knowledge of that family loss added another layer of heartbreak to an already devastating moment. In past interviews, the actor spoke candidly about facing mortality. He described coming nose to nose with death, a confrontation that changed how he viewed life, faith, and purpose. Rather than retreating from the world, he leaned into gratitude, often sharing reflections about kindness and presence. Friends say he became even more intentional about spending time with loved ones, focusing on what truly mattered beyond Hollywood recognition. In 2021, Entertainment Tonight visited James Van Der Beek and his family after they relocated from California to Austin, Texas, seeking a quieter, more grounded lifestyle. The move symbolized a shift away from the chaos of celebrity culture towards something more meaningful. During that interview, the couple laughed about parenting challenges, revealing that their oldest child was babysitting the younger siblings just so they could complete the conversation. The moment captured a side of him fans rarely saw, a devoted father whose greatest role existed far from television screens. For Katie Holmes, those memories of his life beyond acting appeared to shape the most emotional part of her tribute. She ended her letter not with goodbye, but with a promise. Addressing his family directly, she vowed that they would never face grief alone. She assured them that love and compassion would always surround them, a commitment that reflected the deep loyalty formed during their years together. Fans quickly responded to her message, sharing clips, quotes, and personal stories about how Dawson's Creek influenced their lives. Many described watching the show during their own teenage years, finding comfort in characters who felt real and relatable. The loss of James Van Der Beek felt personal because his performances had accompanied viewers through first loves, heartbreaks, and moments of self-discovery. Industry insiders also reflected on how rare it was for young co-stars to maintain such genuine connections decades later. Hollywood friendships often fade as careers evolve, but the bond between Katie Holmes and James Van Der Beek endured. Experts note that shared formative experiences, especially intense ones like sudden fame, can create emotional ties similar to family relationships. Their tribute exchange revealed exactly that, a connection rooted not in publicity, but in shared growth. As tributes continued pouring in, many highlighted how James Van Der Beek navigated fame with humility. While some actors struggle under the weight of early success, he embraced reinvention, taking on diverse roles while remaining grounded in his personal values. Colleagues often described him as deeply reflective, someone who prioritized authenticity over image. The emotional resonance of Katie Holmes' letter reminded audiences of the fragile nature of time. Watching old scenes from Dawson's Creek, viewers now see more than a television drama. They see young artists standing at the beginning of lives filled with unknown possibilities. The laughter, awkwardness, and emotional intensity captured on screen now carry a bittersweet weight. Psychologists observing public reactions noted how collective grief often forms around cultural figures tied to shared memories. When someone like James Van Der Beek passes away, people aren't only mourning the individual, they are mourning a chapter of their own lives. Shows like Dawson's Creek become emotional time capsules, preserving moments audiences associate with youth and identity. In her tribute, Katie Holmes reflected on kindness as something demonstrated rather than taught, a philosophy that mirrored many of James Van Der Beek's own public reflections in recent years. He often encouraged people to reach out to loved ones, to talk openly about pain, and to allow themselves space to grieve. Those messages now feel even more powerful in hindsight, almost like a quiet legacy he intentionally left behind. Friends close to the actor have shared that despite his health struggles, he remained focused on gratitude. He continued supporting others, offering encouragement and humor even during difficult moments. That resilience, many believe, is why Katie Holmes chose the word hero to describe him, not for dramatic reasons, but for the quiet strength he displayed every day. As Hollywood continues to process the loss, comparisons have emerged to other beloved television stars whose passing marked an era. Yet there's something uniquely intimate about this moment. Perhaps it's because audiences watched James Van Der Beek grow up in real time, evolving from a teenage heartthrob to a thoughtful father and storyteller. The legacy he leaves behind extends beyond acting credits. It lives in the friendships he nurtured, the family he cherished, and the countless viewers who felt understood through his performances. And through the words of Katie Holmes, fans were given a glimpse into the private bond that existed behind the cameras, a reminder that the stories we see on screen are often only a fraction of the real connections formed off it. In the end, her tribute wasn't just about loss,
It was about gratitude, memory, and enduring love. It was about honoring a shared past while promising support for the future. And perhaps most powerfully, it reminded everyone watching that the relationships we build, the ones formed during our most vulnerable, formative years, can last a lifetime. As the world says goodbye to James Van Der Beek, the echoes of Dawson's Creek continue to play in the hearts of those who grew up alongside him. The conversations, the dreams, and the emotions captured decades ago now feel like messages sent forward through time. And through the words of Katie Holmes, one truth becomes clear. While a life may end, the impact of kindness, friendship, and shared memories never truly fades.